What's up guys, hello to Footballtalk here. Back-to-back weeks posting on YouTube after a short break. I just released my annual Fantasy Diamonds video, discussing my favorite players to draft based on where they're going, if you want to check that out afterwards. But today there won't be any fancy graphics, advanced metrics, just watching tape with you guys on players who stood out to me through 2 weeks of preseason. You're not going to hear me blush about seeing Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase lighting up opponents, or some other well-established NFL stars who made a couple of nice plays. Rather, we're focusing on young players still trying to establish what their roles this season will look like, or even to make that roster, and the case they made for the coaches to go back and maybe reevaluate that a little bit. We'll go with 3 players on offense and defense each, with a trio of names lumped together for one category. Let's start this off with a bang, and Patriots rookie running back TreVeyon Henderson, who started off his NFL career by taking the opening kickoff back 99 yards to the house against Washington, where he showcased his speed, the ability to cut across the grain and cross up the last line of coverage and then pull away from the chanceless kicker to take this one in for the opening touchdown. On his first offensive touch, the Patriots run crack toss to the left when number 9 pins the end man inside, and you've got the tackle and his fullback pulling out to the corner, with TreVeyon following behind it. He displays this initial burst to get out to the corner, then presses this out here, slices underneath that block on the edge, turns on the burners, and barely gets hawked down at the sideline. Next, we have a little check down, with Henderson swinging out to the right from the split backfield. He turns his shoulders after securing the target, is able to absorb the force to his quads, maintain his balance as he slides off that hit, and adds like another 7 yards before getting brought down. Against the Vikings, New England finds themselves in 3rd and 10. He's able to spread out the defense with his 2x2 set, with 2 safeties deep, but nobody really on the second level. So the Patriots try to catch the opponents by surprise with a straight inside zone run here. All TreVeyon has to do is keep the D-line committed to the play side, but then you can definitely see his juice on this cutback to pick up 11 and move the chains. 2 plays later they find themselves in this 3rd and short. They counted in 21 personnel, fullback in front of the rookie back, tight end in an offset alignment to the right. They motion him across to create plus numbers that way. This looks more like outside zone to me, and the front side looks pretty clogged up here, as we pause this momentarily. And what we really like is TreVeyon's patience, despite having the top gear, to allow his crease to develop, slow his feet behind his blockers, and then finds a way to squeeze through here, slide off that angled tackle, and get to the end zone for 6. And finally, let's shine some light on his work in pass pro, which was a huge positive of his at Ohio State, where he just buried some linebackers in blitz pickup who had like 20-30 pounds on him. I chose the end zone view here to see it better, as this nickel off the right side is coming on a blitz. Check out the rookie back sliding out that way, get low, not overeager to initiate contact, and potentially whiff here, but then the jolt upwards to stop the defender in his tracks and keep his quarterback clean, who is able to scramble out to the left and at least try to throw this ball away. That's the kind of stuff that's going to earn him opportunities also on 3rd downs, because for as good as Ramondre Stevenson is in pass pro, he obviously doesn't offer the same level of explosiveness as a receiver, which could continue to affect the rushing splits as well, and we could see Henderson have a big year with the abilities he's already flashed. The second name to discuss here is a much less heralded one, insane second-year wide receiver Mason Tipton, who went undrafted in 2024. He currently ranks 2nd among all NFL players through 2 weeks of preseason, and the one just ahead of him had that extra Hall of Fame game with 154 receiving yards and a touchdown on 7 catches. On this first one, the Saints are getting involved on a little fly sweep touch pass into the boundary of motion out of this 2x2 set with 2 tight ends to the right. Nothing special, but I definitely like the way he forces the defense to commit to the outside, set up the crease for him to cut underneath, and if not for the great pursuit by his backside safety, he may be one-on-one with number 23 I believe it is here, and potentially make him miss for a bigger play even. Next, he's isolated on the backside of the formation as the X-receiver against this Jags corner, where he's going to be running a straight go route. You see him chop down the defender's arms, and suddenly dips inside before taking the outside release with a nice window wiper swipe down against his press attempt, gets on top of the defender, re-establishes that space towards the sideline rather than allowing himself to get squeezed that way. That ball hangs up in the air forever, but he maintains razor sharp focus, then slightly armbars the opponent in order to not allow himself to get slowed down or disrupted as he reaches out for the ball before finishing this awesome over the shoulder grab for the big play. This should have actually been a touchdown on the same route towards the end of the game. The boundary safety poaches towards number 3, meaning he turns his back onto Tipton, which should have been a massive mistake, as the wide receiver once again is able to cleanly release outside, maintains stack position on the go ball, pushes off in order to detach here late, but the pass ends up just outside his reach unfortunately. Here the Saints come out in a double look. Tipton is at the top of the screen, next to this detached tight end, running pretty much a double slant concept, where the tight end takes the hard inside release on the slot defender to open up space out here for the wide out. Tipton does a nice job of keeping the corner off balance as he delays this, and then shoots inside on the slant, blocks the ball away from his frame, and instantly gets vertical to turn this into a quick 15 yards. Back at the X, bottom of his screen, isolated with this boundary corner, and this is just an awesome job of fighting through contact and keeping his concentration to finish a tough grab on his shake route. Takes the inside release, puts the defender on his back hip, and then breaks out on a steep angle, and from here on out he's tracking this looping pass which he has to lay out for and make sure his knee hits and bounds for another nice chunk. Finally, let's look at one snap from the Chargers game where the ball actually isn't thrown, but he's the boundary receiver once more as the Saints start out in the split backfield and motion his left back the opposite way while running inside zone to the left. Check out Tipton erase the space to the corner, get his hand inside that guy, establish control, and as the back bounces out that way, he basically gets a 2-for-1 as he also takes care of the safety for another solid gain. By the way, the guy the Lions spent up massively for when they traded up to the start of the 3rd round in Isaac Tesla is receiving a ton of hype this preseason, but the even bigger rookie receiver sensation for Detroit has been Jackson Meeks, who went undrafted out of Syracuse, as he's actually the one name ahead of Tipton in terms of yardage through the air this preseason. For this next one, I could basically throw up all 1st round rookie offensive linemen, but in particular here that I'm going to discuss Will Campbell of the Patriots, Ray Zabel of the Seahawks, and Josh Connolly of the Commanders. If this play seems familiar, it's because I've already shown it with fellow rookie TreVeyon Henderson, but Will pulled out to the corner and buried a defensive back on a couple of occasions against Washington. Here he does so on his toss. Watch him get out there, take this corner, and just put him in the dirt. Love the way he finishes this. Against the Vikings, he displays great strain and shows grip strength to keep a hand attached in the 5 technique here, as they bring the tight end across once more, and you're going to see this combo initially between the left tackle and the guard. The guy inside has to peel off for the linebacker, so Campbell has to sustain this block, and he's able to somehow make it happen, clear this lane, and TreVeyon does the rest, take this in for a touchdown. Back to the Commanders game, the big deal with Campbell coming out of LSU as it pertains to staying out of tackle here was his limited arm length, which I'm not going to lie, did show up a little bit, but you see here how he can mitigate that by being first to establish meaningful contact inside the frame of this edge rusher, throw him off his initial move, and then as he tries to transition the speeds, get around the corner, the rookie left tackle guides him past the quarterback, which Drake May sees all that space in front of him and scores on the 6-yard scramble. Campbell and his left guard were responsible for a sack of a poorly passed off twist in week 1 of the preseason, so when he sees his man try to slide inside here, what he does is just smush that guy down on the shoulder drop back, sees him come inside and just pushes him into the pile, which eliminates any impact that this guy can have on a play that way, even though the ball just lands incomplete. As for Ray Zabel, here in his first one he's doing what he's best at, paving the way for his own run. He and the left tackle are able to get the ball rolling so well against number 90 in a double that the linebacker behind it feels like he has to commit in order to knock it out flanked. Running back George Olani sees that, cuts right off Zabel's backside for the big run, as he almost is able to outrun the safety here, just tracking him down. Next we have an example of the rookie's initial quicks and short area agility, as number 54 Leo Chanel walks down to mark the A-gap, but as you can see here, gets completely cut off by Zabel, who reaches his frontside shoulder when they run a toss the other way, walls him off, and they get a solid gain out of it. Transitioning to his working pass pro now from the Raiders game, This is actually play action. I'd probably say they're faking inside zone or some kind of ISO run from this I formation when they motion into it. But check out Zabel's balance, body control, and foot activity to stay in front of the D tackle. It never allows him to even get close to the quarterback as he's trying to land multiple moves, pushes him past, and the ball lands incomplete, but still great work by the rookie. And we finish off with a little tunnel screen to Jake Bobo on the left. Zabel has shown plenty that he can get out in space and take care of defensive backs when asked to in college. But this shows his smarts at a young age, recognizing that the safety, who you can't see on the screen right now here, but it's going to show up momentarily, is leveraged too far outside. The left tackle is able to take care of the linebacker, so instead of just trying to keep running out there, he's able to peel back against his D end as the one guy who could potentially make the tackle here, and Bobo goes in for a touchdown as he makes one man miss and is able to hurl it in. Thirdly, let's talk about Josh Connolly going towards the end of the first round. He had right tackle, Washington running wide zone into the boundary, so he's on a combo block with the tight end against number 54, up to the box safety at number 21. Not a great entry point on the edge defender, but does bump him out just a little bit further before peeling off to his man, and we can work on the hand placement, but takes care of that guy, and if not for his teammates allowing the Mike backer to just shoot the place at B-gap unblocked, this probably results in a solid game. On this next one, the running duo at this free technique, number 92. Check out how Connolly is able to displace him horizontally and constantly with the guard, then gathers himself again and takes number 14, Robert Spillane, out of the lane, before the 7th round rookie, who's created buzz all training camp, into Corey Krosky-Merritt, makes something extra happen and turns this into a solid chunk. We close out with a couple of reps in pass pro. Here's going up against number 96 off the right edge. Connolly chokes off his angle with the kick set. No real pass rush plan that it seems like that he's working on, but just trying to work power. Connolly kicks his feet back to absorb it, and now it's just working the mirror drill in order to not give the defender an escape path. Nicely done. And lastly, this isn't overly impressive technique or anything like that, but I want you to see how effortless this looks like for the rookie, as the edge number 58 drops out here, and Connolly has to overtake number 90 slanting his way. The rookie just catches him and completely deadens the rush, allowing the guard to peel back inside for the linebacker blitzing on the check, and Jaden Daniels takes off for the touchdown off the scramble, which I'm not sure if you should take that contact in preseason, but hyped everyone up in the stadium, I remember. Fellow first rounders Aman Membu, Calvin Banks Jr., Tyler Booker, and Josh Simmons all look good as well, by the way. But now it's transition to the defensive side of the ball. First up, with Bears second year defensive end Austin Booker, who currently ranks second with 9 defensive pressures created on just 30 pass rush opportunities, which is about half of the guy that is just ahead of him, and he's largely done it against starters or at least second string guys. Not always textbook in his technique, especially as a run defender, but he helped create a couple of stops at the goal line against Miami in week 1 of the preseason. On this first one, he lines up in a 2-point stance just outside the tight end to the left. Dolphins bring the other one off the right, number 80, in motion just before the snap, along with pulling the right guard as they try to hit a counterplay towards Booker, who wants nothing of that. Wrong shoulders the pulling man, bangs into the guard trying to wrap around, and creates traffic in the backfield just short of the goal line. This one from earlier, Booker is aligned as a 4-eye technique on the inside shade of the tackle. Once again, Miami brings the tight end in motion, and they're going to be blocking down towards Booker's side as they run a dive the other way. Number 94, Amo with the left guard, comes flat down the line and stops the running back in his tracks. But now, let's just watch his 4 sacks that he's already collected this preseason. Booker was a really interesting pass rush prospect coming out of Kansas because he was fairly unorthodox in the ways he created pressure, but he showed good initial quickness, change of direction ability to challenge both ways, length, and power to give him some room for error and be able to finish his rushes through contact. This first one was actually the easiest one, as Miami is faking split zone to the right side, meaning number 85, the tight end, is sifting across for the D-end number 94 here. The ball doesn't come out quickly, so Booker has the chance to take on this contact, realize that the quarterback still has the ball, discard the blocker, and swallow our quarterback Zach Wilson for the sack. This next one is a lot nicer, now rushing off the right side against second year tackle Chris Paul. You see him sell the speed rush up the field, and as the blocker tries to throw his two-handed punch, Booker steps with the inside foot here, gets low, and beautifully hits the spin move, using the opposite arm to stabilize and keep the tackle from being able to hook him as he pushes off this guy's back and just eats up the quarterback. And of course, Book also gave the third Miami quarterback nightmares, along with the backup left tackle, again coming off the right side. As that guy stops his feet as Booker starts his, and then presses through the inside shoulder, opening up a direct path to the passer, who tries to escape the other way, but has no chance as he's getting hunted down. And then one from the Bills game, where he was part of a 38-0 shutout, helping teammates clean up for sacks earlier, before picking one up for himself. This one actually came without initiating any contact, as he perfectly times up this TE twist along the free technique to spike into the left tackle, pull the guard with him, and then Booker slides underneath for another QB takedown. He wasn't perfect otherwise, where there are still moments where he needs to be more intent with getting to one shoulder of blockers, operated better hand placement and so on, but this was very encouraging for a defense looking to bounce back in a major way compared to 2023, in need of ancillary pass rushers to emerge last year. Shout out also to a couple of Broncos edge rushers, a breakout start last year, Nick Bonito, and another mid-round pick from 2024 who I was really high on, in Jonah Ellis. They've both been terrors in the preseason outings. Our second defender discussed here is another 5th rounder from the 2024 draft, and Jaylan Ford, the linebacker for the Saints, who didn't log a single defensive snap as a rookie while being a part-time special teamer in half of New Orleans games. And I certainly didn't plan on using a couple of Saints here, but this preseason he's tied for an NFL high 8 defensive stops, meaning tackles constituting a positive result on the play for the defense. He's added a couple of pressures and an interception. On this first play, Ford is lined up as a weak side linebacker, with the Chargers running ISO away from him from this heavy 22 personnel set. The Saints being in a bear or 5-0 front, meaning 5 defenders at the line of scrimmage with 2 linebackers behind it. Ford sees this combo block on the head-up nose tackle, meaning the fullback will likely lead up onto the Mike backer. So Ford shuffles over and squeezes through this crease that the offense is trying to create, in order to create the quick stop. Next, he's in that same alignment to the outside shoulder of the left guard, only now LA is bringing the only tight end on the field on a little check motion before running inside zone to the weak side to towards Ford here. Since the Saints D tackles are lined up in a 1 and a 3 or almost a 4-eye alignment for his underfront, he knows the A-gap could end up being wide open, so instead of waiting for the center to climb up to him, he takes the liberty to basically call a run blitz, dips underneath the blocker as the runner tries to cut this back, and he's able to twist that guy to the ground for basically no gain. Let's look at a couple more run clips from the Jaguars game. This time Ford is aligned to the strong side of the formation with this tight bunch to the right, and again the opponent is running weak side zone. The left guard, number 78, directly climbs up for number 53 that we're talking about here, but as he shuffles over, he sees an opportunity to backdoor this, with the 1 technique slanting across the center's face and creating disruption in the backfield, so Ford is able to slap the blocker's hands away and get into the backfield for the TFL. On this other one, he's almost head up with the tackle as part of this 5-2 front that we've already talked about, against an ace set with tight ends and offset alignment to either ends of the line. The Saints are running GF counter, where they pull this backside guard and the tight end off the right across. Check out Ford IDing this. The pace at which he shuffles over from the backside, gets underneath the tight end trying to pin him inside, get initial contact on the back, and then help finish him off. Let's transition to the passing game now, as back in the Chargers game, New Orleans is putting 6 guys up on the line of scrimmage, with Ford mugging the A-gap on his 3rd and 7. They end up bringing 5, but drop out the second-year linebacker, who takes away his tight end, trying to attack the space over the middle that is initially open, on a looky route or a bender. So as Lance tries to go there initially, he sees it's unopen, and decides to take off up the middle instead, and Ford is able to redirect to help corral him. This is more of a straight coverage rep, as New Orleans runs a simulated pressure here, where they blitz the linebacker into the boundary and peel off this defensive end the other way, so with this extra space afforded over to the numbers, Ford needs to slide over and help blank the stick route by the tight end. Yet when the ball therefore comes out to the back on a little angle route underneath, as they try to clear out space for him, the young backer shows off his stopping power to deaden the runner in his tracks and force a tough third down. He overran things a couple of times, chasing down the ball once it came out of the quarterback's hand, but he arrives there with a purpose all the time. And let's throw in the pick for good measure here. Ford once again mucked up in the A-gap as the Saints bring 6. He plays the quarterback's eyes the whole way as he gains stepped, drifts out to the side end, and even though it seems like there might be some miscommunication by where the guy's supposed to settle down, this is one heck of a high point grab by Ford to secure the turnover. He had quite a few nice moments in coverage, against the run, and even flashes as a pass rusher where they could get him involved in some games. Not saying this year, and obviously this is just preseason, but the Saints may have found the long-term replacement for veteran Demario Davis once he's ready to hang up his cleats, and they did so with a 5th rounder. Finally, let's get to an undrafted rookie cornerback in Eric Rogers, who was the other Rutgers corner, along with Robert Longerbeam, who had touted pre-draft and supposedly had an awesome camp for the Ravens as a 6th rounder, before dreadfully tearing his patella tendon in his preseason debut. As for Rogers, he and Khalif Alassi are the only 2 defenders this preseason with multiple interceptions. Rogers is yet to allow a catch on 5 targets, and graded as an elite run defender as well, according to PFF. On this first snap in the Hall of Fame game, Rogers ends up isolated against number 80, a fellow undrafted free agent, with how far inside the slot receiver lines up at, and he's defending a straight go ball. Check out the patient feet at the line of scrimmage here. Stays in phase the whole way, and as the receiver starts to look back, Rogers turns his head and nearly pulls on his first interception as a pro. Later on, the Lions bring the wideout to his side in jet motion and run inside zone towards Rogers, who shuffles inside a little bit, replaces the safety as he recognizes this receiver in a reduced split, cracking back on him, and not only squeezes inside to make the stop against the running back, but also punches out the ball with great precision, even though a lineman for Detroit is able to jump back on top of it. This first play from the Saints game, he actually gets beat theoretically, as he bites on the sluggo double move at the top of the screen, but I came away highly impressed with the rep anyway, because check out how he recovers here. He attacks downhill on the initial break from 8 yards off initially, incredible transition, and if this is a perfect ball, that's a big completion, sure, but again, watch the lack of fat on this, as he sticks his foot in the ground, doesn't chop his steps at all, and gets back on his horse to nearly catch back up. His speed to carry vertical routes down the sideline or towards the post safety popped on several occasions, by the way. I like this snap as well because it shows off a couple of different skills, this time at the bottom of the screen, disrupting the wideout with a quick press attempt, then sinks underneath the sail route by the slot receiver or tight end here in attached alignment, before redirecting forwards and attacking with his shoulder through the ball for a tough 4-yard gain on a check down to the back to force 3rd down. Ace formation here, tight ends in offset alignments to either end of the line. They bring number 82 across the formation to create a 3x1 to Rogers' side. He has to respect the tight end, basically on the same route. But when the ball comes out on a swing screen to the back, Rogers barrels down like a literal bolt of lightning and bangs on the runner at the sideline for minimal yardage. And that brings us to his 2 actual interceptions. On this first one, we start in a bunch to the left side, but they bring number 3 across, where they already have a tight end in this really cut down split. Again putting Rogers 1-on-1 basically with number 17 here, as the Chargers run cover 3 buzz, with the safety that away coming down into the flats. So Rogers plays with his eyes on the quarterback the whole way. Having outside leverage already does help, but for him to not be scared of getting beat deep at all, read the drop and undercut the speed out for a 43-yard pick 6 was as good a defensive play as you're going to see all preseason long. The other one wasn't as tremendous from what he did in terms of reading the concept, as you have him here at the top of the screen, as the Chargers bail out this nickel over the top of him in a Tampa 2 look. You see the corner initially slide inside to this tight end on the stick route, who once the timing is off is going to work outside towards him, yet as the quarterback scrambles his way, Rogers falls back underneath the wideout at the sideline and high punts this ball for another turnover. The unfortunate part for Rogers is that he actually got banged up was seen in a walk-in boot prior to missing the regular week 2 of preseason, considering he did get that extra chance in the Hall of Fame game, so that cost him an opportunity to further impress that coaching staff, but I believe he's left quite the mark, and having also watched his special team stuff, he looked like a fixture on punt and kick coverage teams, which is his route to make that roster. But let's also give a shout out to his rookie teammate RJ Mickens, who I considered a steal in the 6th round, and has looked awesome in extensive preseason action. 5 other names I wanted to throw out there, first one being Broncos backup quarterback Jarrett Stidham, who has looked outstanding this preseason, executing Sean Payton's offense, obviously not challenging Bo Nix for starting duties, but I think they're really confident in him stepping in when needed, attacking open space, throwing the deep ball, and also showing off a little bit of creativity on secondary reaction plays as he does here, finding his receiver working across the formation as he scrambles out to the right. Another quarterback who has impressed this preseason is former number 3 overall pick Trey Lance, who looks like a guy playing with confidence again, getting pumped up by Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers, and showing off his dual threat ability as he did here again in the Saints game, where he doesn't really have anybody open and decides to take off on his 3rd down to pick up a solid chunk in the 1st down. Undrafted rookie wide receiver Afton Chisholm III looks like the prototype wide primary slot receiver for New England, number 86 here, taking the little talent screen, who could eat up a bunch of volume in case Pop Douglas misses any extensive time with all these option and underneath routes. Here he's on a little rub, so he's going to be running this drag route, has his defender picked, but then check out the ability to make people miss and turn this into a touchdown somehow. Further we'll pick Abdul Cardo, number 51, rushing off the right side against a Pro Bowl here in Dion Dawkins. He's looked like an absolute beast, 4 pressures on 8 dropbacks so far. Forgetting the one moment where I got caught off guard by a chip at one of these tight ends, here is returning the favor against number 89, where he stands him up in his tracks, slides inside and creates the run stop. And lastly, I want to quickly shout out one of my sweet draft crushes in Jacob Parrish, who the Bucs just drafted in the 3rd round. Already looking like he's going to win the starting nickel job, though he did split time inside and out so far this preseason. Love his physicality, play recognition, his improved tackling, and just really everything about him. Which is why he's getting a 3rd clip here that I'm gonna show. But that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed reviewing these young standout players from the preseason with me and want to see more content like this, typically with more context in terms of statistics and taking deep dives into certain schemes, units or players, this is kind of what I do. So show me with a like, and you better also hit that bell if you haven't done so yet to not miss whenever I upload a video. Who are some players that stood out to you over the last couple of weeks? Did anyone really disappoint you in limited action? Let me know in the comments. I released my annual video on Fantasy Diamonds, who you should be targeting in your drafts last week, which will pop up here any second, and I'll be back next Sunday most likely in written form over at hellosfootballtalk.com, predicting the entire 2025 NFL season, all the major awards, playoff teams, and Super Bowl 60 matchup. Links to that and all my social media channels are down below. I'll also throw out some of my favorite bets. Usually I post something on bold predictions and plenty more. Hoping to see/hear from you soon. So until then, see you later. Peace!